Vide Ton Sac, the new podcast by Nightline France, which gives a voice to students. In this podcast episode, we'll hear from B from Nightline Paris communications team and Ellie, the student welfare officer at the University of London Institute in Paris. B interviews Ellie to discuss Nightline's recent new anglophone partnership with Ulip and finds out how student welfare has been affected this year. Enjoy!
Hello, Ellie.
Hello, B.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Could we start off by just you introducing yourself and saying where you're from, what degree you're studying, and how long have you been living in Paris?
Yeah, so I'm Ellie. I'm originally from London, but I moved to Paris in September 2018 to study French with International Relations at the University of London Institute in Paris here. So it's coming up on 3 years. It's flying by.
Yeah, it does go quickly. So could you tell us a little bit more about Ulip and the Students' Union and your role as welfare officer?
Yeah, so Ulip is the University of London Institute in Paris. So a lot of our students come from the UK, although we do have some international students. But we're a very small institute, so we have around 150 students. We also have a students' union, like most UK and French unis do. So this involves the president, the vice president, you have treasurer, education. And we're actually hoping to introduce some new roles starting in September. So we will have a vice welfare officer, which I'm really looking forward to, as well as diversity and inclusion being made part of the executive committee, which will be really nice.
Fantastic.
So my role is based around looking after the general well-being of the Ulip population. So this can go from helping booking doctor's appointments, going with people to doctor's appointments, also just being a shoulder that people can come to and have a chat with. We do lots of events. So I organised a sophrology course last year, which was really good. Lovely Irish lady. It was like hypnotherapy. It was amazing. And then we also do bigger campaigns, so such as the Mind Your Head Week, and then Dry January that we get involved in as well, amongst others.
Fantastic. Sounds great. Could you just explain exactly what is student welfare, and do you think that being a foreign student here in Paris has an impact on one's mental health?
I think student welfare depends on the student sometimes, but I think it encompasses a lot of new things. So going to university, you're surrounded by new people, you have new surroundings, you have new deadlines, and these things can make someone really anxious and make the other person not at all. So I think it really does depend. But I think going to a new university in a new city, surrounded by a new language that you might not be fully comfortable with yet, I think it obviously adds another level onto top of all of this newness that you are experiencing at that moment.
Definitely.
Like I said, we're quite a small institute, so we don't have any housing offers. So one of the first things you have to do moving here is deal with French landlords or estate agents or fees. And then you do it in a language that you might not be completely at ease with yet. But obviously there is a ton of support available from the student services and the old students. And then on top of that, I suppose culture shock really becomes a part of it at some point, because even though you study the language and you study the culture and the food and the people, when you're really living it, it's a whole different experience itself. And obviously at the moment with different restrictions and being not in the UK, it's harder to go home and people might feel homesick. But for me, myself, I think I experienced almost like a reverse culture shock. Like going back to London, I was like, oh my gosh, this is strange. So I think it definitely depends, but there's definitely the community that are here to support, which is really nice.
Yeah. I remember the community well.
Yeah.
I count myself still as part of the community. So
yeah,
for sure. It's a supportive environment and a challenging time. Speaking of challenging times, how has the COVID situation impacted student welfare at Ulip, and how have you managed to adapt your role as welfare officer?
It's a very good question. It's one I've been thinking about when I saw sort of the questions before the interview. I think it really made me think, because we're such social creatures and we're such social beings, and I think we take a lot of joy from spending time with friends. And I remember reading something about how important just the little connections in life are, and I think having that not available, especially at quite an important time in students' lives, it hurts a lot of people, especially when you've moved to a new city and your new friends, they become your support bubble, they become like your family. So moving everything online has basically been the first step in trying to support students, and then supporting students that aren't able to access online resources as well has been another thing. But with no physical presence in the building, especially during the first lockdown, and having limited access to certain spaces, it's a lot more posting online, making sure people are aware of your presence, having little drop-in sessions or catch-up sessions, such as the cuppa catch-ups, which has been really nice. But I also think it puts a strain on the students to feel more comfortable coming to speak to you, because you're not in the building. They can't just drop in and be like, oh, actually, can I have this? Like, I need a chat about this. It's more like, oh, they have to message and then they need an appointment, and it's connection problems. It's just not as smooth sailing as you want it to be, especially if it is about someone's welfare. But it has been tough. I'm not going to lie. But it's been big learning curves for everyone, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm thoroughly impressed. Sounds like a huge task and challenge. How did you cope then with students who couldn't access online resources, you were saying?
So I think the first thing was going to the university student services themselves so that they could supply laptops that might have been needed. There were also, I think, during the less harsh lockdowns, some study spaces that were open that offered Wi-Fi, which was really helpful. And the university also created funds for people that had Wi-Fi that might need touching up or fixing.
Oh, brilliant.
So they were very good with sort of reacting to problems that came up, which has been really helpful, because that's something I can't really do.
Oh, fantastic. I was going to ask you as well, how did you hear about Nightline, and did you know that we had an English line?
I knew that you were amongst the UK universities. I'd seen you and I've heard about you from friends. And I didn't realise there was an English line until your lovely email, I think. No, I didn't realise. But it's been really nice, I think, communicating with Catherine as well. And sorting it all out and actually building that partnership. I'm really looking forward to all of the reciprocal support. And I think in my situation as well, having other students to talk to, and anyone in a student officer role that might be taking on other students' problems or concerns, it's nice to have that space to come to, definitely.
Yeah, I'm pleased to hear that. And I'm also very excited about the new partnership that we have, and hope to be a good soundboard for any ideas that we might share about mental health collaborations in the future, and also with the new student vice welfare officer coming in at Ulip. And also, can I ask, what is mental health to you, and why is it important to you?
I think mental health is your general well-being being at its best so that you can function at your best. I think that when you are mentally happy, when you are mentally aware and conscious of how you feel, I think you can get the best out of being you. And I think guarding that and looking after it will just make you and the people that are around you generally more at ease and comfortable. And I think it's important. You want to see all the colours. You don't want to see half of them. You want to really make sure that you are able to function and get the best out of every opportunity that comes to you. And I think acknowledging that you are maybe not doing so well, your general well-being is feeling down. I think that's the first most important step, acknowledging that feeling. Don't try and hide it or push it down. I think acknowledging that and finding the support is amazing.
It's a really beautiful way of wording it. Thank you, Ellie. So it's very clear to me that you've been working hard over the last year, supporting Ulip and the students' welfare. How do you envisage looking after your own mental health during what is undoubtedly quite a challenging final year of your degree at Ulip?
I mean, I have lots of to-do lists.
Nice.
It's how I'm currently organising myself. I think my friends are my lifeline completely. I think they are who I go to if I'm struggling. They understand what I need, what I don't need. We can help each other. And I think I'm definitely going through personal development myself at the moment. I think it's such a big time of change for everyone. Like, I think I was a different person this time last year. All these lockdowns and changes of social situations, when you really do have to spend so much time with yourself, it really changes you. I think I'm seeing big personal changes. But I think looking after myself and finishing my degree, when it is finished, I think the relief and the joy I will feel will be immeasurable.
I'm sure. Oh, thank you so much for that. It's to-do lists are one of my favourite things as well. They keep me going as our friends, and I feel privileged to share some of those friends with you.
Exactly.
And the community at Ulip really is a special one, and a supportive lifeline that I've also benefited from. Is there anything you'd like to add whilst we have you here?
I had one question. I was just wondering how do you think Nightline has adapted to COVID, if you had to in any way? Because it was all online before, did it make a difference?
It for sure it has. We've had to work on supporting our volunteers through the pandemic themselves. Some of the training and some of the shifts have been moved online. Some of our volunteers have been taking chats from home. Now they're more split online and in person, but for a period of time they were online. We ran the Soutien Étudiant campaign, which was primarily developed in the first period of lockdown to highlight where all of the free psychological support is available in France for students. So it's a website and a movement that's been created purely due to and inspired by lockdown and the COVID situation. And we did an update of that in November for the second national lockdown. I suppose things have changed. Our team has had to adapt, and it's also, ironically though, it's grown. And I think maybe we've needed more hands on deck. And as our projects have had to kind of develop and increase. And as I said to you earlier, we're planning to move office soon, which is going to be even bigger to accommodate for more people. And maybe it's because there has been a lot of talk about mental health during the whole period of coronavirus taking over everyone's lives in one way or another.
I think it definitely brought it to the forefront of the conversation a lot more.
And I wonder if it's for that reason that maybe we've actually had quite a lot of intake in recruitment for volunteers, and those volunteers have then had to adapt to higher numbers of calls. Every time we've had a lockdown, the calls have gone up. So some adapting has happened. But it's
been a year of adaptation, I feel.
Yeah, for everyone. Yeah, thank you so much
Yes.
for the interview and for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's been really lovely, and I look forward to our next project together.
Yes.
Not sure if we can reveal yet, but stay tuned, and we'll let everyone know.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to see what happens.
Cool.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Stay tuned for more information about upcoming collaborations between Ulip and Nightline. Remember, Nightline is always just a quick message or phone call away, and if you're a Ulip student, Ellie and the rest of the Students' Union, along with staff and student services, remain available to discuss any concerns or queries you might have about you or your peers' mental health. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on our latest content. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Nightline France. Take care and feel free to call Nightline if you need to talk. We're here for you.